Greetings, kiddos. Tony B, the RD here, and I am here with Brian Smith, the owner and founder of Soulberry Orchards in New Hope, Pennsylvania. And today, on the latest edition of Pumptonian's Nutrition News, we are going to go on a tour and learn how apples are grown and how to make apple cider. So come on, let's go.
The first trees in this orchard were planted in 1986, and there's only a few of those trees left. But we keep planting new ones, new varieties, and we plant, the original trees were sort of a bigger tree spaced further apart, and now we plant rows closer together and tighter spacing in the row. So yeah, when you go to pick a variety or pick an apple, you grab the apple and you turn it upside down and pull it upward like that. Are you in the mood for an apple right now?
I would love to.
So this is a seedling to the keepsake variety, which remember is the parent to the Honeycrisp. And it's a little bit not quite ripe all the way, but it will still taste really good.
That's delicious.
Yeah, it didn't take too many chomps on that to figure that out, huh?
Wow.
All of these trees that you see growing in rows are grown from one bud that was grafted into a root. Like if you look at a tree, you can see, you know, here's the tree and there's sort of this swelling here. That's the rootstock right there.
Okay.
So the rootstock is growing a little faster than what the variety does. So if you look at every tree, you'll see that bump. And that's where the original bud was put into the rootstock, you know, of course, when it was very tiny. And that's what we'll go up and look at in our nursery. So this was planted, you know, it was only this tall. We planted it in April, beginning of April. And then it did this growing this year. And in the middle of the summer, we cut a bud from the variety we wanted to plant. That was the bud right there. And you can see how it was cut in, fit into the wood. We tape it up and then it grows together.
Oh.
And then you can see the sort of the healing line around it. And then that little bud is what will grow into the new tree. So these were rootstock that were planted the year before, right? These are gonna look like these next year. And these get dug out next spring.
So how many years in total does it take until you're starting to pick fruit?
It can depend on the variety and how well things are growing, but you can get a few fruit maybe the year after you plant it. So
Okay.
the tree is already like, you know, there's 1 year, here's 2 years. You plant it out, that's 3 years. Maybe the next year
You start
you
to
could get like a few fruit.
All right, kiddos, it's time to take a break from the tour, and now we're going to discuss the nutritional benefits of eating an apple. So apples contain quercetin, pectin. They also have low amount of calories, have a high water content, and a fair amount of vitamin C.
So by the end of October, beginning of November, we have all these bins full and inside the cold room for storage. They go over this chain and small ones will fall through this chain grate here.
Are these blemished apples?
This is a cider bin, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you use the blemished apples for cider. That makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
All right, kiddos, step one, the apples come out of the crates and onto the conveyor belt. Right here, you're gonna see that they get washed. The apples get crushed up. And then the apples get compressed. All right, kiddos, as the apples get compressed, the juice comes out into the bottom and it collects in this pan, drip pan.
The peeler machine, that's a refrigerated tank full of the cider from the press.
Oh, okay, so what's it doing in here?
It's being cooled down,
Okay.
and then it goes through, that's a UV pasteurizer, which removes any bacteria. It goes into this tank, and then from this tank, we fill the bottles.
And what's it doing in this tank?
Just staying cold, and it's just being held before we, bottle it.
kiddos, you may be wondering, why are we in New Hope, Pennsylvania, when Pomptonian is located in Fairfield? Well, Pomptonian defines local as Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and even Delaware. The benefits of eating local is that the produce is picked at the peak of ripeness, which essentially means the produce is ready to be picked and the nutritional integrity is at its prime, as well as the flavor of the produce is also at its prime. So by us purchasing produce in local neighboring states, the produce is still picked at the peak of ripeness. So the flavor of our apples today are just perfect, as well as the nutritional integrity of the apple is at its prime. Apples contain dietary fiber in the form of pectin. And dietary fiber can help prevent heart attacks and even lower cholesterol levels. But what's really important is that we leave the skin on the apple. By removing the skin from the apple, we would be removing the fiber. So guys, make sure to keep the skin on. All right, kiddos, I have a lot of apples here and I'm ready to go home and cook and prepare my apples. Apples are very versatile. We can have them as a snack, breakfast, lunch, and even dinner. As a snack, I like to slice apples and pair it with really good cheddar cheese. At breakfast, they're great in oatmeal. At lunch, there's a bunch of salads you can incorporate apples into. Try pairing them with cranberries and grilled chicken. And then at dinner, you can make applesauce and pair that with a pork chop.